think we're at a decent spot to begin. All right. So I need to start learning to look at the camera, not to see my notes down here. I realize it looks stupid when I really just sit there and stare at the screen like this when you're right there. So I need to get better at that. So working on this a little bit here. I can build a sign or something. Got mock-up face around the camera. So this is the makeup week for not makeup, but a week that I'm using to make up for the fact that it's been kind of difficult for me to do video game design stuff and video content. So we are doing a video game design week now on top of doing my exercise and diet video earlier. So that's up there where I try I've been trying a high carb diet and starting a 4-week round of cardiovascular focus day. And with that in mind, I think I'm going to bump the health and well-being, the exercise and diet stuff to closer to between 6 and 8 p.m. each day. I'll have to figure out on the specific time per day for that. And this will be video games at 10:30 to probably around 11:30 to 11:45 each night. That's East Coast time. So if you're West Coast or middle of the country, it's a different time set up for you. I'm going off of Eastern Standard Time. I think that's what they call it. Anyway, so what I've been thinking about doing this week for camera's right there. So what I've been thinking about doing this week is I want to see if I can use the BuildBox game builder while I still have it. So I may just see what simple games I can build with some of it right now and dabble with it there. But I also feel like there's something I've been thinking about for a little while. Like I've made elaborate story games and I've made platformer game designs in some of these projects. But there's a type of game that I keep thinking of that I don't have a lot of experience in doing, and I've sort of avoided because it sort of seems like the game design aspect of it is just dressing up simple mechanisms. But there's no reason why I can't just try to do that anyway. So games like Tetris and games like Candy Crush and Flappy Birds, these are all very simple games, but they have a satisfying ability to just they're fidget spinners is what they are. They're the fidget spinner of mobile games. And so I got to thinking, like, okay, so what kind of simple rule system can I use? And so I have this book. I don't know if I'm going to get any trouble for showing it, but we'll do it anyway. The Book of Classic Board Games. I think it's a Klutz. Yeah, it's a Klutz book. And it has some of these style of games in them where you have seemingly simple checker-like rules for movement or tic-tac-toe style movements with special spots on the board that if you get to a point, you can run through a whole loop. So if you get to here, you can go all the way over here. If you get to here, you can go all the way over here. And so you have these specialty spots. And I got to thinking, with a game board like this, the possibility of doing like a Candy Crush or a switch positions of things until one of them's on a line that shoots it around a track and uses it like a projectile to break another piece. And so I like a twisted little version of combining something like a Candy Crush or some of those types of games might be something that I could find some way to pull off using BuildBox. I don't know if BuildBox works for that type of game. It looks like BuildBox is predominantly used for side scrollers, platformers, and sort of like a Space Invader style game. So I may end up just seeing what I can make with that. But in the meantime, I was looking through some of these and just trying to figure out some of these types of board games that have potential for making playable video games out of. So I'm going to take a look through this book a little bit after I'm done here to get a sense for what kinds of things I can do with some of those simple games and incorporate some of the movement or quirky mechanisms into a Candy Crush style game. Now, Flappy Birds might be easier to do on BuildBox because, again, it's very much like a side scroller. So I might be able to make that work and just see what I can build, reskin it in a new way, give it a new gimmick, and just call it a new game. And if I do some games like that this week, they're probably going to be more than one. I feel like it's almost cheating at that point to script up a game that I can just bang out. Just tell this piece to do this. If it hits the walls, it's dead. Like, that's literally the game. It's like BuildBox base formats has a game style where you can build an infinite hallway. There are things at the top that if you touch them, they hurt you. Move the character by doing this action. And that's all you need for that type of game. The Flappy Bird style game, that's all you need for it. Now, you can have a ball, a spike, and a hallway, and that's all you need. But what makes them interesting games is to have the movements pertinent to the theme of your artwork, and your artwork be interesting and playful. So I'm going to have to figure out, if I'm going to do that type of game, I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to make them unique and stand out. So I'm already having a thought here. If instead of every time you tap, the bird flaps and it resists gravity a little bit, what if you're stuck in the middle and every time you tap, you disintegrate? And there are obstacles that would hit you otherwise. So tapping lets you pass through or around those obstacles. That might be an interesting way to see a game mechanic play out. So I might see if I can build a game that does that. So what are the other, like a Tetris style game where it's... See, some of the game ideas I have are like pick up and retrieve an item, bring it back to a location. And that's more something you would make with the RPG Maker style game. So I'm thinking what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to still focus on doing BuildBox style games. Hopping over objects like a Mario style game. So that would be like a side scroller or a platformer game. I'm not sure what the difference between the two. I feel like side scroller is forced to go to the right. You know what drove me nuts? You know what games used to drive me crazy? I think there was a level in most of those platformer side scroller games, a swimming level, always drove me crazy. I hated those with a passion. So maybe I should make a game like that. A swimming game. Where you hit the button to swim. And do you sink or do you bob to the surface if you're not paddling? That's a good question. So a swimming game, a disintegrate to pass through holes kind of game. Now I think with that one, it should be like objects in your way or openings you have to get through that being particulate or fluid enables you to do. But if you're doing that, the board has to automatically advance, so there's a threat of pushing you into the object or squishing you against a wall through which the openings are. So I can figure out some of that. So we're looking at a swimming level style game, a disintegrate and reassemble game, and what else? What other kind of games? Like the Tetris style game, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to do a Tetris style game that's not just so blatantly a ripoff of Tetris. I mean, a lot of those games are really just like, even to a certain degree, like a Candy Crush. So I may see what I can do with these Klutz game pieces, these game styles, and come up with a move around. So I think having 3 games is a good place to go. If I can get one done, that'd be great. If I can at least design out the idea of one by the end of the week, that'd be great. If I could actually build one by the end of the week, that would be amazing. And then if I could do more than that, that would be awesome. That would make me feel really good, like I'd achieved something. Because the other games that I'm working on, they're still in the works, because there's a lot that goes into doing that. So I'm sort of trying to figure out what needs to be achieved this week for games. And I think I need to see about doing some of these simpler style games. So like the disintegration and reintegration character game, a Candy Crush Tetris style game, and a swimming level style game are targets. Now, I'm not going to say that at the end of the week that's definitely the kind of game I'm going to have. I may end up having abandoned those ideas and gone for something else entirely when an idea occurs to me. And so maybe, but this is where I'm going to start. This is the stuff I'm going to start with. Hopefully my internet's working tonight. I know I've got a lot of stuff open and running, so it may be interfering with that to a degree. We shall see. So I know it's only been about 15 minutes, but I feel like that's sort of the first point to come to tonight. I'm gonna finish up here. Might see if I can edit up a video and post it. and then call it a night, and I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think I'm probably going to post the fitness and diet video, 8 p.m. That seems reasonable. And then back here at 10:30 for video game. And I think that's how I'm going to finish out the week. Alrighty, I think I'm going to call it early tonight. Now it's 11:45. I don't know if I'll call that early, but I'll call it a short video tonight, I guess. Not usually this short and concise. I'm pretty rambly when I do these. All right, I don't know what to make of that. We'll call it. See you tomorrow. Take care.